استهدفت من خلالها مطاري دبي وأبو ظبي.
On January 17, 2022, the Houthis unleashed a global crisis by 2 drone strikes in Abu Dhabi, warning it to discontinue its hostility to Yemen. Who are the Houthis, and what is this crisis all about? The Houthis cover 25% of Yemen's population. They belong to the Shia sect of Islam known as Zaydis. Zaydis are different from the 12 Shia that is widely practiced in Iran, Iraq, and Lebanon. They take their name from Zayd ibn Ali, great-grandson of Ali. They believe it is their religious duty to fight against unjust rulers. Their ideology contrasts with most Sunni and Shia doctrines, which encourage unity over disorder. They lived in the mountains of former North Yemen, which in the present day is known as Sada province. After North Yemen and South Yemen were unified in 1990 to form the present-day Republic of Yemen, the Saudi-funded Salafi institutes were established in the northern part of Yemen with the support of the Yemen government. This made Zaydis feel marginalized, so they began to revive their religion and culture under the leadership of Hussein Badreddin al-Houthi, leading to the birth of the Houthi movement. The Houthis became more involved in politics in 2003 when the US invaded Iraq. They started criticizing the first president of Yemen, Ali Abdullah Saleh, who was also a Zaydi. They called Saleh a US-backed dictator and started protesting in parts of Yemen. In response to which, Saleh sent troops to arrest Hussein al-Houthi and crack down the movement. This led to the first armed conflict between the Houthis and the government. After Hussein al-Houthi was killed in 2004, his brother Abdul Malik al-Houthi became his successor, and the clashes between the two parties continued. The government was backed by Saudi Arabia, whereas the Houthis gained the support of Iran. The Houthis accepted Iran's support but resisted their direct interference. And for the Iranians, Houthis' presence as a counterweight to Saudi interests was sufficient. The bloodshed continued for years until the parties reached a ceasefire agreement in 2010. A year later, when the Arab Spring reached Yemen, the Houthis were one of the many groups who called for Saleh to step down. After Saleh stepped down, the Houthis joined a national dialogue. The outcome, however, disappointed them because it reduced their territorial autonomy. The impact of Al-Qaeda attacks on the country made it hard for the new US-backed president Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi to stabilize the country. Consequently, unemployment and fuel prices soared. Meanwhile, the Houthis allied with their once enemy, former President Saleh. Saleh still had military forces loyal to him. By 2015, the Houthis had overthrown the government and captured Yemen's major cities. Additionally, they rebranded themselves as Ansar Allah, which means the helpers of God. In 2015, when Salman bin Abdulaziz ascended the throne of Saudi Arabia, he saw the Houthis as a threat. He then formed a coalition with other countries that condemned the Houthi movement. The coalition was also backed by the US, UK, UAE, Morocco, and France. They began strikes on the positions of the Houthi militia and loyalists of the former president Saleh. Following a surge in conflicts in Yemen, including advances by UAE-trained troops, the Houthis seized a UAE-flagged ship and its international crew at the beginning of January 2022. The recent airstrikes in the UAE was the first deadly assault on Emirati soil acknowledged by the UAE, in response to which the UAE pledged retaliation and Saudi Arabia launched retaliatory airstrikes on Sana'a, the capital of Yemen. These strikes claimed about 20 lives. This decades of bloodshed has claimed several lives. What the UN calls one of the world's worst humanitarian crises, it has been a catastrophe for millions of Yemenis who have fled their homes, with many on the brink of famine.